The door slammed with a crack, and Maya said, "You promised me forever, and you broke it like it was nothing." Her voice shook in the silence of the midnight apartment. Tears blurred her vision as the echo of Jordan's footsteps faded, leaving only the sound of her heartbeat clawing at her chest. She gripped the counter, whispering, "How could love turn to betrayal in a single night?" Her body trembled, anger and heartbreak bleeding together in sharp breaths. The smell of cheap wine lingered, and the half-empty glass trembled in her hand as she said, "I gave you all of me, Jordan." Her voice cracked, defiance mixed with despair. Jordan's silence in the hallway was heavier than any curse. His shadow lingered on the wall before vanishing like a ghost. Maya pressed her forehead against the cold surface of the counter, whispering to the empty room, "Why wasn't I enough?" The city lights outside flickered against her tear-streaked face, neon pinks and blues reflecting the chaos inside her. The betrayal had no explanation, no apology, just absence and an emptiness clawing at her ribs. Her chest rose and fell with ragged breaths, each one burning her throat like fire. In the silence, her whispered confession filled the room. "I still love you, and that is my curse." Maya stumbled into the living room, her phone buzzing on the sofa. She ignored it, whispering, "They don't need to know I'm breaking." Her fingers hovered over the screen, then retreated. Her pride was louder than her pain. The call ended, and silence pressed down again. She sank into the sofa, clutching a pillow like it might stitch her broken chest back together. The city's hum outside mocked her solitude. She whispered to herself, "Everyone thinks I'm strong. But strength is just silence dressed as armor." Her tears dampened the pillow. Maya's best friend, Nicole's name, flashed on the phone again. She muttered, "Not now, Nicole." Her voice cracked. Nicole had always been the one to see through her silence. She pressed the phone face down, whispering, "If I tell her, it becomes real. And I can't survive real right now." She buried her face in her hands, sobbing silently. Maya staggered toward the window, staring at the rain. The city lights blurred in her tears. She whispered, "The world keeps moving while I'm stuck in this moment." Her reflection stared back, fragile and broken. She raised her hand to the glass, her breath fogging the cold surface, whispering, "I don't know who I am without him." She pulled her hoodie tighter, sliding down the wall beneath the window. Her voice shook as she whispered, "Love was supposed to heal, not destroy." Her sobs quieted into heavy breathing. She closed her eyes, whispering, "If this is the end, I need to find the pieces of myself he didn't break." Morning sunlight crept into the apartment, striking Maya's swollen eyes as she stirred on the sofa. She whispered, "Morning always comes, even when I don't want it to." Her voice carried exhaustion more than hope. She sat up slowly, clutching her head, the silence of the empty apartment loud in her ears. A photo frame of her and Jordan lay on the floor. The glass cracked, just like her heart. She picked it up, staring at their smiles, whispering, "That girl believed in forever." She didn't know forever had an expiration date. Her hand trembled as she set it back down. The kettle whistled in the kitchen, but she ignored it, whispering, "Coffee won't fix the taste of betrayal." Her chest ached, as though speaking the words made them heavier. She grabbed her phone again, hovering over Nicole's name, whispering, "If I tell her, she'll remind me who I am. But what if I don't want to remember right now?" The knock on the door startled her. She froze, whispering, "Not him. Please, not him." But when she opened it, Nicole stood there, eyes sharp with concern. Nicole said, "You didn't answer my calls." Maya stepped aside, whispering, "I didn't have words." Nicole entered, scanning the mess, her face softening as she said, "You don't need words. You just need me." Maya collapsed into her arms, whispering, "It feels like I'm drowning, and no one sees it." Nicole rubbed her back, saying, "I see it. I've always seen you, Maya." They sat at the small kitchen table, mugs untouched between them. Maya said, "He left me with nothing but silence." Nicole leaned forward, replying, "Silence isn't nothing. It's truth without the sugarcoat." Maya laughed bitterly, whispering, Truth feels like poison right now. Nicole's eyes softened, saying, poison can teach you not to drink from the same cup twice. Maya's tears spilled as she whispered, I don't even know who I am without him. Nicole held her gaze steady and unflinching, saying, You're Maya. You're more than the love that broke you. Nicole rose, walking to the window, saying, You always wanted love to save you. But sometimes saving yourself is the only real rescue. Maya stared at her hands, whispering, I don't know if I'm strong enough. Nicole turned, her eyes fierce, replying, Strength isn't about knowing. It's about standing even when you don't believe you can. Maya's chest ached as she whispered, Then stay, please. I don't want to stand alone. Nicole returned to her side, saying, I'll stand until you can. Hours passed in silence, broken only by their breathing. Finally, Maya said, Do you think I'll ever be loved the way I deserve? Nicole's answer was steady, Not if you keep shrinking for men who don't know your worth. Maya whispered, What if I'm the reason he left? Nicole's voice rose, sharp but loving, No, Maya. Don't carry his sins on your shoulders. Love doesn't run unless it was never strong enough. Maya closed her eyes, whispering, I want to believe you. Nicole reached for her hand, saying, Then let me believe for you until you can. Evening. Shadows crept across Maya's apartment as she sat at the window. Her phone buzzed again, but this time the name made her chest tighten. Jordan. She whispered, Why now? Her hand hovered, trembling with equal parts fury and longing. Nicole's voice echoed in her memory, Don't let him define you. But her heart whispered the opposite, pulling her back into dangerous hope. She pressed answer, voice sharp, What do you want, Jordan? His silence stretched, heavy, before he finally said, I need to see you. Maya's laugh cracked into the night as she replied, You should thought of that before you broke me. Yet her hand wouldn't hang up. Later that night, the knock at the door echoed like thunder. Maya opened it to find Jordan standing there, drenched from the rain. He said, I couldn't stay away. She whispered, You already left me once. Jordan's piercing eyes searched her face, his voice low, Leaving you was the worst mistake of my life. Maya's heart pounded, torn between slamming the door and collapsing into his arms. She whispered, Don't say words you don't mean. Jordan stepped closer, rain dripping from his jacket, saying, I mean every word. I just don't know how to deserve you. They sat in tense silence, droplets of rain from Jordan's clothes staining the floor. Maya whispered, You can't just come back and expect me to forget. Jordan leaned forward, voice heavy, I don't want you to forget. I want you to see me trying. Her laugh was bitter, slicing through the quiet. Trying looks a lot like leaving when it mattered. His eyes softened with guilt as he whispered, I was afraid of what loving you demanded of me. Maya's chest tightened, fury and ache colliding. She whispered, And I was afraid of not being enough. Looks like we both got what we feared. The silence thickened, broken only by the storm outside. Jordan whispered, Maya, I love you. She closed her eyes, whispering back, Love isn't enough if it leaves me bleeding. Jordan's jaw clenched, his voice shaking. I was weak, but I can't lose you again. Maya stood, pacing, her voice rising. You already lost me, Jordan. The moment you walked away, you chose your pride over us. Her fists shook as she whispered, You don't get to decide when I'm worth fighting for. Jordan rose too, eyes burning, replying, Then tell me how to fight for you now. Maya stopped pacing, staring at him with tears brimming. She whispered, You don't fix this with words, Jordan. You fix it by proving you won't run when it hurts. His shoulders slumped as he said, Then give me the chance. Her voice cracked, trembling, I don't know if I can survive giving you another chance. He stepped closer, eyes pleading, whispering, Then let me carry the weight this time. Maya's heart raced as silence swallowed the room again, the distance between them charged with fear, desire, and unfinished love. The storm had calmed outside, but inside, tension thickened. Maya said, If you want me to believe you, Jordan, I need the truth. Her eyes burned into him, daring him to break the silence. Jordan's jaw tightened as he whispered, There's something I never told you. Her chest constricted. She stepped back, whispering, "Don't start what you can't finish." His voice cracked. "I wasn't just with you. When we ended, I went back to her." Maya froze, heart pounding like thunder, whispering, "Her? Who is she?" His silence was answer enough, and fury carved across her face. Maya's voice trembled but rose sharp. "You betrayed me, and you didn't even flinch." Jordan's hands shook as he whispered, "It meant nothing." Her bitter laugh cut through him like glass. "Nothing? You shattered us for nothing?" Her eyes blurred, anger mixing with heartbreak. Jordan stepped forward, saying, "I was lost, I was weak, and I thought I'd already lost you." Maya snapped, "You don't get to use weakness as a shield." Her words cracked the fragile quiet, leaving only the sound of her ragged breathing. Maya staggered back, whispering, "All this time I thought I wasn't enough, and the truth is you never chose me." Jordan shook his head fiercely, replying, "I did choose you. I still do." She turned her back to him, voice sharp, "You don't get to rewrite the story now." Jordan's voice broke as he said, "Maya, I love you. It was a mistake, not a replacement." Her chest heaved as she whispered, "Love shouldn't feel like punishment. You turned my heart into a battlefield." The sound of another knock jolted them both. Maya wiped her tears quickly, whispering, "Who else could that be?" She opened the door to find Simone, Jordan's ex, standing there. Simone's eyes flickered with arrogance as she said, "You deserve to know the whole truth." Maya froze, fury and confusion swirling in her eyes. Jordan muttered under his breath, "Not now, Simone." But Simone smiled coldly, saying, "She should know you came back to me more than once." Maya's knees weakened as the ground beneath her seemed to collapse. Maya's voice shook with venom. "How many lies have you buried in my chest, Jordan?" He tried to step forward, saying, "Maya, please," but she cut him off, screaming, "Don't say my name." Her body trembled as Simone leaned against the frame, eyes glinting with satisfaction. Maya's tears blurred the room as she whispered, "You didn't just break us. You buried me alive in your betrayal." The silence after her words was deafening, broken only by the thud of her hand slamming the door shut on both of them. The door rattled as Jordan's fist pounded, his voice breaking. "Maya, open up. Don't let Simone's poison be the last word." Maya pressed her back to the door, whispering, "It's not her poison, Jordan. It's your betrayal." Her chest heaved, every word clawing its way out. "You buried my trust, and expect me to dig it back up with bare hands." His muffled voice replied, "I can rebuild it. Let me prove it." Her tears turned to fury as she shouted, "You want to prove something? Prove you can face the truth without running." The hallway fell silent, his breath audible even through the wood. Maya finally yanked the door open, her eyes blazing. "You want to talk? Then stand here and drown in what you did." Jordan's face was pale under the streetlight as he whispered, "I never wanted to hurt you." She stepped forward, voice sharp as a blade, "But you did. You broke me, and then you let someone else pick up the pieces you dropped." His eyes filled with regret, his voice cracking. "I'm here because those pieces still belong with me." Maya laughed bitterly, whispering, "You don't get to decide where I belong anymore." They moved into the living room, standing face to face in the dim light. Maya's voice trembled but cut sharp. "Tell me why, Jordan. Don't give me excuses. Give me the truth." He swallowed hard, whispering, "I was scared of needing you." Her jaw clenched, fury burning in her eyes. "Needing me isn't weakness. Lying and running is." His voice cracked. "I've hated myself every day for it." Maya's tears slipped free as she whispered, "And I've hated myself for loving you anyway." The storm outside returned with thunder as Maya's voice rose. "You don't get to come back only when it's convenient." Jordan's voice broke. "I came back because I realized nothing else mattered." Maya screamed, "Love isn't supposed to feel like chains, Jordan." Her voice cracked, echoing through the apartment. His hands shook as he whispered, "Then let me break the chains I put on you." The air between them pulsed with fire, two hearts colliding, burning, refusing to quiet. Maya collapsed to the sofa, whispering, "You've already killed the girl who trusted you." Jordan knelt in front of her, eyes pleading, whispering, Then let me love the woman who rose from her ashes. Her tears fell freely as she whispered, I don't know if I can forgive you. His voice cracked. I don't want forgiveness. I just want the chance to earn your love again. The silence after hung like a blade, sharp, dangerous, filled with both destruction and possibility. The apartment was filled with the pale quiet of morning light, and Maya sat at the edge of the sofa, fingers twisting together as though she were holding on to threads of herself. Jordan sat across from her, slumped in the armchair, his face shadowed by exhaustion, his eyes red and swollen from a night without sleep. The silence was heavy, almost unbearable, like a confession in itself. Maya's voice broke the stillness, soft but razor-sharp. Do you even understand what you've done to me? Jordan leaned forward, voice rough, his throat carrying the weight of unsaid words. I know. I broke the only person who ever saw me for who I was. And I've been hating myself for it every day. Her chest rose sharply, the pain pressing against her ribs as she whispered, Love isn't supposed to feel like this. It's not supposed to make me feel small or unworthy. He shook his head, his voice low but urgent. Then let me love you in a way that makes you bigger, Maya. Let me be the one who helps you rise, not fall. She closed her eyes, each tear stinging as it slid down, knowing his words were dangerous because they almost sounded like hope. Maya rose slowly, walking toward the window, her palm flattening against the cool glass, where raindrops clung. The city outside blurred in her vision. But she spoke anyway, her voice a fragile thread. You want me to forgive you, Jordan. But forgiveness doesn't erase the scars. It doesn't make me forget the nights I cried myself to sleep, because you chose someone else over me. Jordan stood but kept a careful distance, afraid of closing it too soon. His voice cracked, desperate but subdued. Then let the scars remind us not to cut each other open again. Let them be proof we survived, not chains to keep us trapped. Maya turned suddenly, her hair catching the light, eyes narrowed with fire and disbelief. You make it sound so simple, she said bitterly, her tone carrying both anger and despair. His hands shook slightly as he replied, It's not simple. It's all I have left, the truth that I love you and I can't run from it anymore. Her reflection stared back from the glass, fractured by droplets but standing tall, reminding her she wasn't as broken as she feared. The sound of the front door opening broke the tension, and Nicole stepped inside, her gaze sweeping across the room, sharp as glass. She took in Maya's damp face, Jordan's restless posture, and the thick silence that pressed between them. I figured I'd find you both here, she said, her voice steady but edged. Maya's eyes brimmed again as she whispered, I don't know what to do, Nicole. I don't know who I am anymore. Nicole's gaze lingered on Jordan, hard and unflinching, before softening when it turned to Maya. She stepped closer, saying gently, You don't have to know today. You just have to remember who you've always been. Maya's voice broke as she asked, And who am I now when everything feels shattered? Nicole's answer came without hesitation. You are Maya, the woman who has always carried her scars and still stood up, the woman who can survive fire. Whether you keep him in your story or not doesn't change that truth. Jordan's head sank lower, shame draped over his shoulders as he swallowed hard, unable to meet her eyes. Maya rose slowly, her body trembling, but her voice steady. I can't give you my answer now, Jordan, she said, her tone laced with quiet strength. I need space. I need time. I need air that isn't filled with the weight of your lies. Jordan nodded, though his eyes shone with despair, his voice barely audible. I'll wait, Maya, even if it takes forever. Nicole stepped closer, resting a hand on Maya's shoulder, grounding her. You don't owe anyone your healing on their timeline, Nicole said firmly, her voice protective and certain. Maya exhaled shakily, tears slipping free as she whispered, I just need to learn how to breathe without feeling crushed. The silence thickened, each second stretching longer as Jordan sat with the truth that love wasn't something he could demand. It had to be rebuilt, if it could be rebuilt at all. Maya's tears fell, but her spine stayed straight, a quiet defiance growing in the cracks of her heartbreak. Jordan finally stood, the weight of resignation pressing on his shoulders. His voice was soft, breaking with every syllable. I'll prove I can be the man you deserved all along, Maya. Her throat tightened, but she didn't flinch, whispering back, then prove it without breaking me again. Nicole's grip on her shoulder tightened, a subtle reminder that she wasn't standing alone anymore. Nicole said firmly, strength isn't about staying or leaving, it's about remembering you always come first. Maya turned her gaze from Jordan to Nicole, and for the first time her tears dried without fear, her lips trembling into a small, shaky smile. For once, she whispered, I think I'm ready to choose me. Jordan paused in the doorway, his hand on the frame, eyes fixed on her as if memorizing her face. He wanted to speak again, but silence was the only thing left, and so he stepped into it, leaving behind the fragments of the love he had broken. The apartment was silent after the door closed, Jordan's absence filling every corner with its echo. Maya sank into the sofa, her body folding into itself as though exhaustion had finally claimed her. Nicole sat beside her in quiet solidarity, her presence a comfort that needed no words. Maya's whisper broke the silence. It's strange, isn't it? How love leaves so much noise even after it's gone. Her chest rose and fell, breaths jagged, her tears softer now, less violent than the night before. Nicole glanced at her, offering only silence, because sometimes silence was the truest kindness. Maya tilted her head back, staring at the ceiling as if the answers were carved into the plaster. For the first time, she whispered, I feel empty, but not broken. Her lips trembled, voice cracking. Maybe this is what survival sounds like. Nicole reached out, brushing her hand over Maya's, grounding her in the unspoken truth. Survival wasn't quiet, it was a roar beneath the silence. As night wrapped around the city, Maya stood at the window, her reflection fractured by streaks of rain. The neon glow painted her face in shifting colors, a portrait of a woman breaking and rebuilding all at once. She pressed her palm against the glass, the cold grounding her as she whispered, I can still love him. And still let him go. Her words carried both pain and freedom, fragile yet unshakable. Nicole's reflection appeared beside hers, softer but just as steady, whispering, that's strength, Maya, that's healing. Maya closed her eyes, the city's heartbeat thrumming beneath her skin, whispering back, then maybe healing doesn't mean forgetting. Maybe it means remembering without drowning in it anymore. The silence after was thick, but it felt less suffocating, as if the world was finally making room for her again. The phone buzzed on the table again, its screen lighting up with Jordan's name. Maya looked at it, her heart thudding once, twice, but her hands didn't move. She whispered, steady and calm, not tonight, not anymore. Her words were not filled with bitterness but with release. Nicole's eyes flicked to her, her face quiet but affirming, giving a small nod as if to say, you've chosen, and that's enough. Maya's throat tightened, but she whispered with new strength, I'm not ready to forgive him, but I'm ready to forgive myself for holding on too long. For the first time, the weight in her chest loosened, leaving behind something fragile but clean, like fresh air after a storm. The silence stretched, not sharp or suffocating anymore, but steady, filling the room like the beginning of peace. Later, Maya stepped onto the balcony, the night air cool against her face. The city stretched endlessly below, alive, glittering, relentless. She gripped the railing, inhaling deeply, whispering into the wind, I don't belong to him anymore. I belong to me. The words floated, strong and certain, carried away into the night. Her shoulders loosened, her posture uncoiling as though the weight of months had finally slid off her back. Behind her, Nicole leaned quietly in the doorway, her voice soft but unwavering. That's the woman I knew you'd find again. Maya turned slightly, a faint smile trembling through tears, whispering, she was here all along. I just had to remember her. For the first time, her tears felt cleansing instead of drowning, a release instead of a punishment. The city was hushed in the late hours, the hum of traffic distant, the stars faint above. Maya stayed on the balcony, her eyes on the horizon, whispering to herself, he will always be part of my story, but not the end of it. A single tear slipped down, the last she would let him take. Nicole's voice came gently from behind, then write the ending yourself. Maya inhaled deeply, her body trembling as she released the breath with a new calm. "I'll never forget him," she whispered, voice steady now. "But I'll never forget me again either." The words lingered in the night, haunting, final, a vow written not for him, but for herself. The silence after was heavy, yet it was no longer unbearable. It was the silence of closure, of strength, of survival.